Hi, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Do you want to be informed? Do you want to have fun? If yes, then yes, you are likely going to want to get your number nerdness on after the show. So, good day to all of our YouTube viewers and our audio listeners on whatever of the 19 platforms you're listening. We appreciate you. Thanks, and welcome to episode 267 of the Business of Life Masterclass podcast. For our listeners and viewers both, we ask you to please think about the last time you felt elevated by information. You know that Barb and I are hugely supportive of information and how we get to utilize it. So today's episode of the Business of Life Masterclass podcast is all about being informed while having fun. So hello again, everyone. It's me, Debbie Lundberg, Performance and Mindset Coach with Presenting Powerfully.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Barb Zant here, media sales leader and founder of the lifestyle brand, The Stay at Work Mom. Debbie, who is our guest who can show us ways to go from being intrigued to getting the whole story, please?
Well, she is the proud wife of her husband, Nick Newton. So that gives you a little insight. Millennial dog mom to Mina, who's adorable, and leader of the Tampa healthcare team at KB. So you'll learn a little more perhaps later when you see all of the links. So as a CPA and trusted advisor to physician-owned healthcare practices, she offers clear presentation and financial results and tax savings opportunities during monthly or quarterly board of directors meetings. While accounting mostly tells a story of what's already happened, she especially enjoys assisting practices to position for growth in revenue and profitability by recommending operational best practices and compensation structures that motivate providers and their support teams to perform to their best. You know, we're all about that. She is part of our awesomeness squad, Barb. So please welcome Dawn Newton.
All right. Welcome, Dawn. We are so excited to have you on today. What is one thing in your bio that we did not get to hear from you? Something that might be cool, just a tease, because we'll ask you more about that soon.
Thank you, Barb, and thank you, Debbie, for having me. My tease is that I knew I wanted to be an accountant when I was 16 years old.
Wow. Can't wait to hear more about that. Since you have listened to our episode and we invited you on the Business of Life Masterclass podcast for your brilliance in numbers and figuring out how to have fun with that. So I know you've listened to our podcast. Please share in 50 words or less what specifically made you want to be on the Business of Life Masterclass podcast, please.
Thank you. I was so honored to be invited. So thank you for inviting me to be on the podcast. And first and foremost, any opportunity to collaborate with the two of you, Debbie and Barb, really appreciate it. I think the world of both of you. But I love this podcast because it provides actionable strategies. You get to hear from different business owners and high performers in their field and just tips and tricks. I love the morning ritual and learning about that and then your follow through. So it's a unique format, and I think it's really cool.
Well, thank you, Dawn, on your perspective on the Business of Life Masterclass podcast. And before Debbie gets started on our podcast, that is our questions. What is one thing that you are super excited about in your life as we are in third quarter now while the show is going to be airing?
I am super excited. I'm fulfilling a childhood unresolved dream to see Blink-182 August 29th.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. And we've heard that you like to bring the fun into numbers, and that is super exciting. So I wonder if that's going to be one of your songs. We'll have to see. What is your walk up to life music?
My walk up to life music is The Future Freaks Me Out by Motion City Soundtrack. To be clear, The Future does not freak me out, but it's just a really uplifting, upbeat song, and I frequently listen to it while I'm getting ready in the morning.
I love it.
All right. I don't think I know that song, so I will be checking it out. I bet I know it, but I didn't know the name of it. So
I will need to check that out too.
That's a good one.
So thanks, Dawn. We're now moving into our Business of Life Masterclass Podcast 4. You know, as a listener, that these are the 4 questions we ask every wonderful guest who is kind enough to spend time like you are today. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Number one, what time do you get up in the morning, and what is your morning routine that you believe gets your day started right?
Thank you for asking. I wake up at 7 a.m. during the week, and on the weekend, I wake up when my dog wakes me up. At 7 a.m., I get up out of bed, and something you taught me, Debbie, was grin and grat. So I do mine laying down. I know yours is standing. So as I lay in bed, I think of 2 to 3 things I'm grateful for, and I smile before I get out of bed. Then I get up with my dog, tend to her, feed her, get her set up for the day. And then I start every day with meditation using the Headspace app.
Well, certainly Mina has the priority there. We can tell. We heard about millennial dog moms. So Mina gets taken care of, and then you go into the meditation. So good that you're focusing on both of you and not solely your four-legged, but we get it. Barb and I get it. You know that. All right. Thanks, Don. Number two, what's something other than that morning routine that you believe if other people were to do it, it would set them up for additional level of success? Sometimes Barb calls this the special sauce, or we call it the extra umph that you provide that you wish others would do as well.
For me, I would say it's taking micro breaks. So especially if you're working through something intense or challenging, accounting's very analytical, and so you're really firing at all cylinders. So maybe every 40 to 60 minutes, taking 5 minutes to recharge your energy and then diving back in with your full energy instead of just pressing on for hours on end.
So in those type of breaks, do you recommend getting up and moving around, or is it turn off the screen? The micro breaks is something we haven't had on the show. So can you tell us a little bit more?
Oh, interesting. I'm surprised. I would say moving around is great. So I usually walk around, I get some water, but also connecting with others for me is energizing. So whatever is energizing for you, if you're an extrovert, it might be connecting with others. If you're introverted, it might be taking a moment alone to just gather your thoughts and not be around people. But for me, it's usually taking a quick break, texting with my friends while I go grab a drink of water.
So now I know when those texts come into the awesomeness
Yes.
that you're on a micro break. All right. Barb, have you heard that expression?
I have not, and I of course wrote it down.
You're writing it down. Love it, love it. We know that's something in our takeaways. All right, Dawn, number three, who or what has been the biggest influence in your life, your success, and your continued focus on the analytical side and the creative side that you have really brought together beautifully to serve not only yourself, your clients too, and importantly, what have you done with that influence?
Thank you. This question I spent a lot of time thinking about. Is challenging to pinpoint one person or one event that was influential. I would say at a really high level, the idea of caring about people first over a financial outcome, over a target deliverable. If you care about people first, the results follow. And so seeing in my early childhood, my parents were great demonstrators of that. They cared a lot about people. They were very 1950s hippies. Choose your own adventure, trust people, see the best in people, and if they could help, they would. In adulthood, really seeing community leaders act with integrity and make the challenging decisions for their team and for their clients that came out with the best outcome because they cared, not to hit a financial metric. I always see those leaders and their companies be more successful financially as a result. So that's been really influential in how I lead my team and how I advise my clients. And so we spend a lot of time talking about culture and people and outcomes, even though we're tying it into a financial report.
I hope our listeners are really honing in on that, Dawn, because I'm sure if somebody saw your very brief bio somewhere, they'd think, oh, okay, she's good with, she's certainly good with taxes. She's good with numbers. She's able to grow. But that part about caring is something that we don't necessarily get to hear a lot of from financial leaders like yourself, that it's building the relationships and the care that drives the numbers. So you're giving us a few firsts on our show, which we love, and that's what we commit to doing and learning about. All right. So number four, while the series and the master classes we've had and will have in the future, they're all focused on the positive. And, we hope that conveys through the video and the audio on the show, but also how we're selecting people and promoting them. At the same time, Dawn, you know that to move forward in life, sometimes there are things that if people would stop doing them, it would position them in a better, improved state. what is something that you're noticing right now that you think, gosh, if people would stop doing that, they would be so much farther ahead?
Number one, stop avoiding important conversations. And I say important and not difficult because they don't have to be difficult.
Well said. I mean, those difficult ideas create our brain to want to resist it. Important. Our birthdays are important, and addressing a challenge is important. So even that word change, love how you're phrasing that. So thanks for bringing us the ideas of how to get our day started really well, what to incorporate, who's, certainly, and it was less of a who, but more of a what, like a calling is what I was hearing about the care for people and modeling that after your parents. And then for us to have important conversations. So I'm sure Barb has a few things she's going to challenge us to do as she's smiling away down there. So
Yes. Yes, thank you, Dawn. I am so inspired this morning, as I always am. And a couple of ideas that I'm going to implement. I know, Debbie, I could feel you looking at me, knowing exactly what I was putting down. But the Headspace app. So all the things I've done the meditating every once in a while, but it just hasn't stuck. But I like how it makes me feel. So I'm absolutely going to look at that app, Micro Breaks. I have not heard that. I love that. I'll have to test around either the moving around or the connecting with others. The people first. And Debbie, it just comes to me. I know your list might be a little bit different, but what do you think about getting together on these lists and work on these for our listeners in the next week or so?
Yeah, definitely. It's been interesting because we have somebody who we've been wanting to get on the show, like we'd wanted to have Dawn on the show, and she'd assisted me with doing some meditations that are all related to chakra. And so I can incorporate a change to the Headspace app, and we can share a little bit about that in our follow through and a bit of a comparison perhaps. And definitely the micro breaks. I go back to Dawn, you're using different language, which is so important, that even if we think of, instead of a break, as a micro break, that you're granting yourself something and you're not taking away from this big project for too long. I believe even that language to ourselves and to others is going to be empowering. So I'm definitely into the concept of it, into doing the micro breaks as well. So yes, and really presenting powerfully has been all about the impact. It's interesting, on a run this morning, we were talking about the intangibles of what we have as our goals. And I said, presenting powerfully has consistently been there. It was originally designed and has consistently been for people to really realize what they can do through the tips and tools. So Dawn, you're saying that about, being driven for caring for people. I will reiterate and perhaps reposition how presenting powerfully so that people know that. So I'm in. I've already got a few takeaways to do, and I'm very much interested to hear what you do with that app too. All right.
That sounds good. So Dawn, as we wrap up, please elaborate on the story that you teased earlier.
Thank you. So I somewhat fell into accounting when I was 16 because I had a break between my weightlifting class, which was super important to me. That was non-negotiable. And my chemistry class, which I had to take to graduate high school. And I had this, 90-minute period in between the classes. And there were 2 or 3 classes available. And one of them was Intro to Accounting. And it was essentially a bookkeeping course. And we had a notebook. And I remember the professor said, you can bring your iPod. And that was so huge to me because I'm in high school. I was like, oh my gosh, I can listen to music while I do this. So that was my initial excitement. I was good at math. So I thought this will be fun. So I plugged my iPod in. I've got my, 60 songs, and I'm listening. I'm working through the workbook, and I just fell in love with it. So the workbook was supposed to take an entire semester, and I think I was done in 4 weeks. So she said, oh, I'll get you the next class's book and then the next class's book. And so I completed multiple books, and I could just really dive in and get into a good flow and lose myself in it. So I knew it was something I was interested in, and all of my electives in college were accounting related. And so then I explored specifically what I wanted to do in accounting, which is more consulting in nature, but totally fell in love with it and knew it was my jam at a young age. So I'm very grateful for not having to do that exploratory search in college.
Wow, 12 years old, and music was a part of that too. So, Dawn,
Well,
what is
I
it?
think you say
16 years
12,
old.
Dawn? 16. Yeah, 16.
16. Oh,
I
sorry,
was like,
16.
no,
Still
no,
young.
it's still very young. Still very young, though. That's true.
So finally, what is a quick closing statement or even a simple concept that our listeners didn't get to hear yet that you want to share with everyone?
Thank you for asking. I think for a closing statement, character above everything. Character outlasts everything. So if you're faced with something exciting and an opportunity, remember your values and who you are in that, even while you're excited. And if you're facing a time that's challenging, remember that your character will outlast and stand above whatever challenge you're facing, the choices you make.
You certainly demonstrate beautiful, wonderful, thoughtful character here, Dawn. So thank you again. And as we get ready to say goodbye, now I will tell our audience a little tale on the three of us. Before I asked Dawn her walk off mic drop music, we were talking before we got on about what really that means. So perhaps we haven't explained it well. So I'll take a second here. So think about, for all of our listeners, and we're going to get to Dawn's, if you were on the stage saying your comment like Dawn just got to say, you know what, character above everything else, and you just felt like, boom, that's everything. If you summed it up, what song or what music would you want playing when you exited that phenomenal stage? So hopefully we clarified that, because we really appreciate Dawn brought that to our attention. So Dawn, what is your mic drop music that you would play after leaving the stage?
My mic drop music would have to be Bejeweled by Taylor Swift.
Oh, yes. You can't miss it on Taylor Swift.
I'm a bandwagon Swiftie. I was not an OG. I will own that.
Thanks so much, Dawn. What a great mic drop song.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. It's been an uplifting start to the morning.
Well, listeners, please know that you can stay connected with Dawn Newton on all social media, and you can check out KB, where she has the healthcare practice in Tampa, if you want to learn a little bit more about that consulting and that approach that our team takes as they collaborate and work with clients. Similarly, you can follow Barb and me on Instagram and Facebook at the Business of Life Masterclass. Barb is the Stay at Work Mom, and I'm Debbie Lundberg, most places. Debbie Lundberg Coach on TikTok, and I put out a Workday Coaches Corner tip video on all platforms.
If you like the insights you heard, please rate us 5 stars, share Dawn's episode. We are committed to providing you with 5-star guests just like Dawn. Please do provide us feedback. We do implement that. And stay tuned next week for our follow through, where you can learn what Debbie and I did implementing Dawn's ideas. So thank you for joining us for this episode of the Business of Life Masterclass, the podcast for successful people embracing every chance to accomplish and experience all you can in business and in life.
As we like to say, listen, choose, do. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have ever thought, gosh, I'd like a collaborator, I wonder what else I could do, it's likely that the answer is a coach. Hi, I'm Debbie Lundberg, Performance and Mindset Coach with Presenting Powerfully. And if you would like confidential coaching to drive you to the next idea, the next role, or even to figure out your own brand, please reach out to us at Presenting Powerfully, 813-494-4438. Thank you.